Okay guys, today we're going to go over some parts that I run on my Sherco 300 SEF factory. Basically it boils down to personal preference, but these are the things that I like to do to my bikes. Doesn't really matter necessarily what brand it is, but it's kind of just like how I set my stuff up. So for starters, we're going to start in the back. This comes factory on a Sherco, a solid rear rotor. It's pretty important, especially if you're harder on your brakes. And then next up is the Bulletproof Designs rear disc guard. And I also run aftermarket wheels just because. No real reason, nothing wrong with the factory Sherco wheels. It's just kind of a preference kind of thing. And then we do go ahead and wire tie all of the spokes. We also go ahead and wire tie the rear brake line to kind of keep it in its little holders. That way if something grabs it. And then also another keynote, you see that, it's kind of hard to show. You see that gap right there in between the rear brake line? So we loosen it up and push it in to kind of help it from not, like if a rock catches it, whenever there's not that gap, it'll bust it off. So we do that as well. And this year I started running Fastway ankle savers. I actually like them quite a bit. I was unsure. A friend recommended it to me, and so I started running them. It actually kind of puts me in a better body position. I feel like I'm on my toes a lot more and have that extra, like, my ankles kind of feel more supported kind of thing. And I'm not riding my rear brakes as much, so that's a win-win. Next up, I run a Recluse clutch. Recluse makes really good products, whether it's manual or an auto. Currently I'm running an auto clutch. I just kind of have to. I have a wrist that's pretty jacked up, and the Recluse actually allows me to be able to race without having issues because I can't use my hand to actually use the clutch all the time. So can't say enough great things about that. I generally get more life out of a Recluse setup than I do out of a stock clutch, so that's another benefit. Even with their manual clutches, they generally hold up a lot better in any manufacturer. It's not just a Sherco thing. I've had it on gases, I've had it on Beta, so it's just, they make good products. And then I also run an Enduro Engineering tip. It's a lot stronger than stock, a lot harder to bend. I've never had an issue with like bending brake tips until I started GNCCs, but I'm on, I'd say I do like 4 a year, which is crazy because like before GNCCs, never. Okay, next up, my skid plate of choice is going to be the E-Line carbon fiber skid plate. Ron makes super great products and I love all of this stuff. I usually run a pipe guard, but I don't have one on this bike yet. I actually just switched to the stock Acro pipe and I haven't got that put on yet. It's on my list of to-dos, but the E-Line skid plate, I've never busted one. They look good, they mount great, like I really like them. Next up is going to be the Bulletproof radiator guards and a high pressure radiator cap. Those are two really important things. Radiator guards save your radiators, probably save you some money in the long run. It's definitely worth purchasing. And then a high pressure radiator cap is just kind of give it more pressure so you don't overheat as quick kind of thing. Also run engine ice. I know a lot of guys run Evans. It's kind of a personal preference kind of thing. We've just always run engine ice for years and I've never switched, never had a problem. So that's why I do it. And then I also have counter shocks. It is a very amazing product. It's helped me significantly, especially overcoming injuries and coming back kind of thing. It's kind of like a shake weight. It's kind of interesting concept. I don't fully understand how it works, so I know it does actually work and it's worth actually putting on your bike. And so basically I notice it kind of softens the impacts and you don't feel all the chop as much. And for me, especially like since I have a wrist injury and I have a shoulder injury kind of thing, it definitely helps soften those harsher hits. And I like it. I won't ride without it. Every time I take it off, I notice it right away. So definitely a must-have for me. Next up is going to be this E-line carbon fiber front disc guard. First off, it's beautiful. Secondly, it protects that disc from getting hammered and whatnot. So one, it looks good, two, it protects. This Enduro Engineering case saver, if you break your chain, throw a chain, whatever, it protects your case. And it's something that I think everybody should run no matter what. And then after that, the next thing is gonna be the Bulletproof Design Swingarm guard. And right now I have a TM Design Works chain guide on. I either run TM Design Works or a BRP. Either or, both great. Kind of thicker and better than stock, and kind of take the harder hits and rocks that's harder to break. Next up is going to be a rib seat cover. It keeps me kind of more seated on the bike and I'm not sliding all over the place versus like a slick one. So ever since I've ran a rib cover, I think it's been, I put one on my cross trainer, and I think that was probably 8 years ago, and I have never looked back since. Like, keeps me where my butt wants to be, and I'm not falling off the back of it, especially whenever it's wet outside. Good traction, good seat. Next up is going to be my Fast Company flex bars. They are hard to beat. And I run the softest setup you can get, yellow and blue. They basically, for me, it seems to really help it helps the harsh impacts and doesn't, like, you don't feel it in your hands and wrists so much whenever you, like, say you hit a G out, it's like not super rigid. And so with flex bars, they kind of give a little bit, and it just really helps your hand, wrist, and if you have any kind of upper body injury, it definitely helps with that. It helps with arm pump. Whatever you got going, flex bars definitely make a difference, and I promise you that. And then grips, I am currently running Rinthal Firm. I'm kind of questioning my grip choice. I'm not too sure what I like. I've always been a ODI lock-on kind of person for like 8 years because I've always been, the story is what happened. I had a mud race and it was in Merwin, Missouri, and it was super slick, super not fun kind of thing, and I twisted my grips loose, and so I had two throttles on one side and another throttle on the other side. And after that day, I swore I was never gonna ride with wired on grips ever again. It's just gonna do lock on. And so I ran lock on grips for approximately seven years, and then this year I am on a Sherco and I have a GT throttle assembly on. And so anyway, lock-on grips are no more for me, and I'm just trying to test out the waters. I thought Rinthal Firm would be kind of similar to how like the ODI lock-ons were as far as like firmness, but I think they're a touch worse, like stiff. But I'm not for sure. I'm open to recommendations because I don't really know. I've been out of the grip game for a long time. So yeah, and then I got my starter button on the left side, and then map switch, G2 map switch, and then G2 kill button. Actually, I think that's the stock one. And then, like I said, ARC levers. Always put hour meters on our bikes. They do, from the factory, come with a speedo that does track your hours. Sometimes the battery dies in them and then it doesn't track, and if you don't catch it kind of thing. So hour meters, you can also hook it up if you are a Sherco dealer or no Sherco dealer kind of thing. You can hook it up to the scan tool and get the hours off of it that way, but for easy reference for me, I just keep it on the side of the neck. That way I can, you know, kind of see where I'm at. If you ride 4 strokes, I strongly suggest putting a cooling fan on. Keeps the bike cooler, especially in those mud races. On Shercos, cooling fans actually come stock from the factory, so that's another added bonus. Shercos come with KYBs stock from the factory. Right now I'm running stock valving. I do have the spring rates for my weight in there, but stock valving is pretty dang good, straight up from the factory. So pretty much stock suspension, and I'm more than happy with it. There is a few little other things we do to these bikes kind of thing. If you might be able to catch it in some of these clips of like where the wire ties are and whatnot. And then another thing that we also run on all of our bikes is funnel web air filters. They've worked really well for us, and it's just something that I'm going to continue to run.